As we said today at the beginning of Mass, the Church gives us this season of Christmas to continually celebrate, to delve deeper and deeper into this mystery and this majesty of God who becomes man, who dwells with us. Our Christmas season will officially conclude next Monday on the Feast of the Baptism of the Lord. Next Sunday we look to the celebration of the Epiphany. But how wonderful it is the Church gives us today this feast of the Holy Family. It's important to remind us that God does not come to us in some distant or different way, but in perfect humility, in a fully human way. For what is more basic to our human experience than our experience of family? All of us are brought into this world in that context of a family, and many have that experience throughout their lives. And so we look to this family in which Jesus lived and to see what it means for us. In our first reading, we hear of Abraham, the one whom we will refer to in our first Eucharistic prayer that we pray throughout this octave of Christmas, whom we call our Father in faith. God calls him. He assures him that his descendants will be numbered like the stars in the sky. It's an unbelievable promise because Abraham is old, his wife is barren. But then there is this reference to how Abraham responds. We are told that he put his faith in the Lord, who credited it to him as an act of righteousness. Our second reading then refers again to this reality of Abraham and his life, how it says, by faith, Abraham obeyed when called to its distant land, that by faith, Sarah conceived and had a child, and by faith, Abraham then offered his son Isaac. So the message for our families is a clear one. Our families are meant to be places of faith. You know, so often the culture and the influences of the culture can be insidious to us. And the message so many voices in our culture is that families are anything but centers of faith. That marriage, we have to remember first and foremost, is a sacrament. You know, as you and I come here in this sacrament to receive the Holy Eucharist, in the context of holy matrimony, God's grace is meant to constantly flow through husband and wife to sanctify the other. They are then blessed in that sublime gift of the child. And again, to always and in every circumstance put their faith and trust in God. And in the way as Abraham was guided and his family flourished. If we do that, so will ours. The Church presents to us today as this model and this image, the Holy Family. Just think of the faith and love that they shared. Think of the respect and reverence that St. Joseph had for his wife and for this child. You know, that model, how we are, and it's so easy, I'm sure, in family life to forget that. Think of the perfect holiness and gentleness of Mary as she cared for her husband and her son. Again, what a model they both are for us, for all of our husbands and our wives. Our gospel shows the faithfulness of the Holy Family as they come to the temple, honoring the custom of the law of the Lord. There they encounter Simeon and Anna. It is for them their Christmas moment of their encounter with this child who is the Son of God. Simeon bursts forth in his canticle of prayer and thanksgiving. He exalts that he has seen the salvation promised by God. But then he warns that the child will be a sign of contradiction, and a sword will pierce the heart of his mother. Again, we are to see the Holy Family not as some romanticized and unattainable ideal, but as a truly human family who experience those tragedies, those sufferings that all of our families will endure. Again, sadly, there are influences and voices in our culture that seek to repudiate all of this about the essence of what the family is, we can so easily forget that this reality of the love of husband and wife, everything that they do from the most mundane to the most intimate, is a sacramental reality, always meant to be animated by the very grace and love of God. And so today we thank our mother, the church, for this insight and wisdom that she shares with us on this feast. We pray for all of our families, that they may indeed be centers of faith and love, so that the truth and love of Christ, the one whose birth we continue to celebrate, might be the focus of their life, that he may be their teacher, that they may follow him and not, which is in many instances, the absurd ways of our world. Then in that same underlying trust that Abraham had, God will bless our families as we strive to live like the Holy Family in that very communion of the love that God is, continuing our celebration of that marvel of the first Christmas and that life and that love that God desires to share with us.